The market is in a good state again. Prices start to recover, money is flowing into the space. And in this video, we're going to look at the bread. Bread is one of the major winners in the last week. It's one of the main meme coins on the base chain. Let's have a look at the data. Let's try to figure out whether or not this rally can last longer. And so here we are. Everything is green, but bread is among the top 3 cryptocurrencies in the last week. It's up 73% with a price of 6.5 cents per token. Now, this recent bear market in the last few months has shown one thing. This market is not fair. Most people tend to lose over time. And when we look at our influencer trades, we can see potential problems. So in the early days, when bread was only at 3 cents, the Dogecoin millionaire bought the token to then subsequently make a video to then afterwards sell the token again. Here is that video. And this is unfortunately a behavior we see regularly among crypto YouTube. A lot of people just pump and dump. They buy a token, make a video, and then sell the token. I never buy a token before discussing it here on YouTube. If I buy a token, I always do this after being public about it. Now, bread is still one of the major cryptocurrencies on the base chain. It's got liquidity of 6.3 million. And there aren't a lot of tokens that are larger than this. There is Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. There is the largest decentralized exchange, Aerodrome. There's a token by the Virtuous Protocol game, and there is Venice. That's it. Bread is the largest meme coin on base. And with that, we've got 805,000 holders on chain. Now, not all of those holders are created equal. Some of them might just be bot accounts. Some of them might just own a few cents worth of the token. So let's look at this in a bit more detail. What we see over here is the number of small holders, medium-sized holders, and large holders. So small holders are wallets that have at least 15,000 bread tokens. That's worth $1,000 at current prices. For the chart in the middle, it's a 10x in minimum holding. So that's now $10,000 worth of the token. For the chart on the right, it's another 10x. So that's now $100,000 worth of the token. There are 450 such wallets. Now, isn't it fascinating how bread is able to recover that massively while the number of holders isn't really changing much? What is happening over here? I believe what's happening is that the centralized exchanges bought up a lot of the bread supply. So this is how the game works. The centralized exchanges and market makers buy up a token, and then they allow for bets on the price, for perpetual futures. So you're offering bets on the price, at the same time you can influence the price. That's like you being a sports betting house. You allow people to bet on a soccer match, but at the same time you also bought the referee. Quite nice business model, isn't it? If on chain there is no real change, yet the price is going up like this, that means there is short-term leverage in the market. And we can see this over here. On the perpetual futures market, we had $64 million worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours alone. The financing costs of those perpetual futures are massively positive. So the longs have to pay the shorts. The market in aggregate is bullish on bread. Now have a look at how open interest, so the bets on the perpetual futures, correlate with the price. When the price is going down, that means also open interest is going down. So the bets on the price lose value, and vice versa. As there is more capital in the derivatives market, the price also tends to go up. And so bread is in a pretty tough spot now. If the majority of people are betting on rising prices and the market makers own a lot of the supply, it might be at some point that the market makers dump the price to liquidate all of those longs. Because so far that has not happened. The liquidations in the last few days haven't been higher than usual, but the open interest is very high. So there's massive incentive by the centralized exchanges to push down the price at one point. Yes, the chart looks like bread can do another 3x, right? It could go maybe to 20 cents, but that's only on the US dollar chart. If we look at the relative valuation to Bitcoin, the risk to reward isn't that great anymore. Bread could easily underperform Bitcoin by another 60%. And it first has to see this breakout and outperform above 17% to potentially go any higher. But again, this is not a retail-driven rally. This is a leverage-driven rally. And leverage tends to unwind at one point. Now, it appears as if everything is going up in this market, but it's not as easy. It's still in the end a player versus player game, and a lot of people got wrecked before this rally. The top performing crypto categories right now are Politify, but also picking up now Solana memes and AI agents, all the kind of tokens that did very well just a few months ago. Now, especially with the smaller altcoins, it's not a fair game. It's player versus player, but it's also insiders versus the public. The public doesn't know as much as the insiders, and so on average, the average retail investor does lose money. It's really a rather mixed picture. Have a look at this. This is Solana's trending tokens. There's some green, there's some red, but in the end, even during the Memecoin hype in the last few months, Bitcoin dominance continued to go up. So clearly, it's not enough to just buy a representative basket of altcoins and hope for those to outperform Bitcoin. If we speculate with altcoins, we have to be somewhat active. Otherwise, we just go with BTC. BTC tends to do better than most altcoins most of the time. Now, very often the market makers and the insiders, they get away with this, right? For example, the Ohm token crashed by more than 90%, a drop of 4.5 billion. Up to this day, we still don't know who profited from this crash. The money is not gone, it's just held by somebody else. Now, what can we do in a situation like this? I think the best approach is to try to be as close as possible to the insiders. And that's the nice thing about the blockchain, right? We can see the official transactions. And if we do a bit of digging, we can find out the wallets of people that move prices. For example, over here, we've got transactions of Kyle Chessy and of other influencers that bought SPX 6900 very, very early. When we found the wallet of an insider, we can get notifications whenever those people buy and sell something. And because of that, I made a video on SPX 6900 in the early days. And that video was not that popular because most people didn't know about the token at the time. But it came out when the price was still at 10 cents. It then made this parabolic run of 1,300% and of course crashed back down with the rest of the market. But I try to be early on this channel. I try to cover tokens that are bought by the insiders that still have upside potential. So feel free to subscribe over here. Now here's another example, Fartcoin. We got purchase notifications at 4 to 5 cents and subsequently there was a 4,000% run, then of course our correction, but still from that signal the price is up almost 2,000%. It's all a player versus player game. The insiders make most money. And the way we get all of those signals is again by finding the wallets of people that influence the prices. So again, with the example of Kyle Chessy, we've got 12 of his wallets. In total, we track more than 419 wallets. We find the wallets through various approaches, the NFTs that they hold, the current holdings that they might make public, related transaction wallets, all kinds of different approaches. There are dedicated tutorial videos on how to find influencer wallets available as well. What you're seeing over here is the paid Telegram channel. So we've got a dedicated chat just on finding new influencer wallets where we then add them to our tracking channel. So that tracking channel is also available, of course, to the premium members. And so the closer we are to the people that move prices, the more we can mimic their performances. So over here, what we see is various trades that have been made by the community. Of course, I'm not sharing the exact tokens that have been traded, but yeah, those are some examples of what is achievable with the right information. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $125 per month. The link is down below. It's thebitcoinstrader.com. You will also see a link to the premium membership now directly popping up on this video. Again, if it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.